So I'm going to start with you, Federica.
Yeah.
You're going to tell me a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Tell us about yourself. How do you see what you're doing? After telling me about yourself, you're going to venture into telling me more about what you're doing and how you see it supporting the future of tech communities. Thank you.
Can I share something? Can I
Yes,
try
you
and
can.
share something? Yeah. And how many minutes
Okay.
I've got? How many minutes?
You have 5 minutes.
5 minutes. Okay. Aisha, can you tell if you can see my presentation?
Yes, yes.
Okay, fine. Great. So just briefly, a little bit more about myself. So my name is Federica Gazzelloni. I am a statistician and an actuary by education, by training. My journey as a research investigator started a long time ago, well before the COVID-19 outbreak hit the global community with its invisible predominancy. So I have some certain number of projects on GitHub, and this is my Twitter account. So if you like, you can get connected with me. So within the years, I collected a variety of experiences during the years before and after my bachelor degree in statistics and actuarial science. I started with jobs after school, helped with supporting my family, and looked after for a better understanding of all those communities, so named minorities. Then I realized one of those. My passion for maths and science drove me through statistics at first and then actuarial as a specialization. I've always liked the law of large numbers, which states it guarantees stable, long-term results for the average of some random events. So we are, as statisticians, we know that we are going towards the mean. And so high numerosity facts and even said frequencies are those numbers used as a confirmation of the observed general phenomenon, and that's so fascinating. So then after years spent trying to understand why, such as the importance of this high numerosity is needed as confirmation of the truth, I ask myself, what if something happens only to me? Isn't that true as well? So the COVID-19 outbreak and more importantly, the lockdown led me to a new world. I went from regulatory standards to high dimensional arrays, high numerosity, to diseases, zoonotics, and all the way back to my old desire to be a veterinarian. So things changed in life and my life changed. I started doing MOOCs on Coursera, edX, getting back to calculations, and made an application to be an HME collaborator. So I'm very happy about that. So nowadays I'm a co-author of the Global Burden of Diseases, and that's so exciting. About 3 years passed since the start of the pandemic. I've learned a lot. So how do I see this supporting the future community globally? All the changes that we face have a side back, and it is not always as expected. It can be much better. I expect to find interesting questions to answer and to be able to summarize, research a particular topic. I believe that will help to get inside the meaning of a particular topic. We are now facing a war in the heart of Europe. So it's important to be prepared for changes always. And what are the challenges I'm currently facing, and what are the challenges I see in the communities development across the world of sectors and organizations? I'm part of the R4DS community. I enjoy statistics, group clubs, learn advanced modeling techniques, and this can be challenging sometimes. So I'm also a co-organizer of Our Lady DC, and found this very helpful for all of us who aim to get into data science and be able to be informative and helpful. So in general, the job sector evolves as long as the world around us evolves. So to be updated is a must. So the challenge to stay updated. When I look towards the future, how can community managers get there? So I would like to see a future where people help each other, but that's not always how it should be. We can expand on that. So with just few minutes, then we can expand on that. What approaches must the community implement to build metrics and profitability? An informative approach. Be able to collect data is vital. Then how metrics can be used across various platforms in a community. Metrics are resuming results of analysis or a phenomenon. Clouds are the best way to share information among the team working on metrics and other calculations. And so this is everything. We can see that through metrics, we can see a picture of a different world, which is not us, and maybe different, and may be able to understand how we can approach this issue. So this is all from me. I'll stop sharing.
Yes, perfect. I heard you. Thank you, Federica. Thank you
Sure.
very much. Thank you. So now, Amarachi. Oh.
Okay.
Speak about yourself. I know Federica did a fantastic telling us about herself and how in her role supporting the future of community globally. And she also ventured into the challenges she's currently facing in the community development. So I know and also do better by telling us it's following just what and tell us about yourself, your impact, and also the challenges. Thank you.
Okay. Brief background about myself. My name is Amara Omereife Ni Udo Obia. I am a graduate of chemical engineering from Futo, that's Federal University of Technology, Owerri. And I wasn't really interested. Okay, let me not say not interested, because you can't say you're not interested in what you don't know. When during my time, I didn't see tech as anything beyond just being able to go online, communicate with others and stuff like that. But along the way, I wouldn't say I found tech. I said tech found me, yes, because along the way I made friends in the industry, and I got really fascinated because, like my friends would say, that I have a brain like a sponge. I like to soak up information. That is typical me. And I have could I call it an obsession, sort of, for reading and learning. I enjoy it. I also love teaching, but of course, being being a Nigerian where teachers are old, I would never. When people say it, I say I do not want to teach anybody. I rather do it for free, and rather doing it for free than be old like a teacher. But along the way, I had to embrace my skills and appreciate that this is who I am, this is my gift, and this is what I do well. So, as somebody who has been part of the tech community for a while, I have been very active and I have been very active and very good at teaching. I think that's what I do very well. I'm very well at teaching, especially what I know I can do. And I have taught classes on UX design. I've taught classes on research, on market research, UX research, product research, and stuff like that. And I enjoy it when my students ask me questions and when they become very engaging because it makes me feel like, oh, these people are really into the business, you know. And over time, I have also, will I say, improved on that. I have learned what I should do and what I should not do to create engagement. I have also understood the kind of topics that people tend to like with respect to the audience. I've learned to not only just pick up a topic, but also look at the audience that you are giving the topic to. What level are they in? What is their interest? Okay, it's not just about being able to understand you. Are they interested? Okay, is this what they came for? And I've also understood that it's very important for people to get to know you because it's very important for people to be able to connect with you before you start even teaching them. Because you're teaching humans, you're not teaching robots. And whether you like it or not, there's always that emotional connection that sets the pace. And when that's in place, it's so much easier for people to talk to you. If you just walk in and they're like, oh, we're gonna do this, that. Be like, okay. But when you make them feel like you're one of them, irrespective of how you're teaching them, even you make them feel like, hey, this is us, this is our thing. You can set our own ground rules, we can do our own thing here, and you can feel free to ask questions so that you can learn from what I am teaching you. Whether we like it or not, you can't take away the human touch in a community. Is this one of the reasons why people don't like to engage or don't want to engage, either because they don't see the need or they don't see the gain, or because they don't even make friends there. They're just there floating away and not engaging. So first thing, like I always say, I like to connect first. I believe that's a very important factor for community building. And yes, when people are so many and when people are, what's the word? So out there, I also found out that another thing that is a good strategy is to further divide them into smaller groups. Why do I say that? Because it's more specific and more targeted. I remember, forgive me, I have to introduce, like in my church, there was a time I realized that many of the ESCOs were not very forthcoming in their duties, and there was one excuse or another. And we had a huge ESCO platform, and everybody was just there, but the connection was just not there. Then we also had the main platform, and connection was not there. I know I had a huge responsibility if I was going to drive this community to something bigger for what it was. So one of the things I did was to break it down into smaller sections. What I do? If you're in finance, we move you to finance, and I would be there. If you're in the secretariat, we move you there. Why am I doing all these things? There are informations, there are meetings, communications I want to have with this specific group of persons, which I can do there. Also, if there's something that you're not too comfortable discussing in the main platform or the ESCO platform, I believe that this challenge can be discussed better in this tiny unit. It also makes it easier for you to feel more connected with me, even when you don't see me physically. And it worked a lot. It worked so much that the finances, we got it straight. Most people could easily, the mistakes were less because they could connect and they could talk about their challenges and their issues. Okay, and we would address it because we are now in smaller units. So it's very important for you to create that, we call it rapport. That is one. And sometimes this will involve more hands. Very true. Okay, it will involve more hands, but it's very necessary. Another thing, but you can't create that rapport if you do not understand your members. Okay, so like I always say, forgive me, maybe because I'm from a design background and I'm used to making user profiles. Okay, user personas and stuff like that. I always do that. It has become a part of me. If you bring me into a particular situation, the first thing I want to do is, what are we looking at? What are we doing this for? I want to develop a persona for just about every user, every set of user. Why? I want to understand their needs, their aspirations. What are their expectations that they're coming here? Because that is what determines what kind of content we're going to put out there. That is what determines the reactions we're going to get. If somebody is here is interested in coding, and you're telling him about MATLAB and you're telling him about statistics, he or she may not necessarily be interested. But if someone is interested in statistics and you're telling him or her about history, he is not going to connect very well. Okay, so it's important that you understand your users. It's also important that you set your house in order. What do I mean by that? Forgive me. This is a part. I kind of very much believe in quality management. Why do I say this? Because there is something that I always remember when I took a class in quality management, total quality management, and Six Sigma and all. They said it's impossible for you to implement quality management in a system that is not organized. So you have to get your house in order. How do you get your house in order? There has to be ground rules. There has to be systems in place of defining how things are done. Then you can talk about proper management of the system and then scaling the system. Okay? When you cannot get those things in order, it becomes a problem. So there is a strong need for you to, first of all, organize your community, set ground rules, set certain things that make people identify with you before you can talk about scaling it. These things are very much important because if you don't get it at the infant stage, it becomes harder, as you move on. So, like I said, it's very important that we understand our users, we get closer to them, we create systems and processes that are geared towards them, and most importantly, that we connect with them at every stage in life, at every stage, because that is what determines the next step and how we even if we have to change our goals in the future, that's also what determines it, because you have to carry them along. Without them, there is no community. Okay, so I think I just wanted to chip that in. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amarachi. Thank you so very much. Yeah, I think I can resonate with what you and Frederick are talking about community. Because for you to know the problems, the issues of a community, you have to be part of that community. And for you to scale that community, you must also be a number one person pushing that community. You must be passionate about that community. And as you've also talk about the challenges, how you were able to use a small unit of your church to disintegrate and find a solution to that particular need that your community needed at that time. So that's all. I would say a very good work, and I would say that's a good work, and also well done to you. And also Frederica, back to you. Well, when you mentioned about statistics and the issue of the pandemic swept us off our feet. Without pandemic, that being on this call to even be possible, because we wouldn't even think of, we had to connect, virtually like this. And the pandemic made us to realize and also connect globally and also larger audience and also make impact, through using our coding, using technology. That's just the word, using technology. So I'm happy that we are on this call today. Now back to the question and our discussion. Now, when you look towards the future of your goal, lady, now managers, because I know also in your community, in your home, then you need a community management skill. You need somebody to help you scale community in whatever. Because I see that in this R4DS community, how will you be able to scale and also adopt, strengthen, implement, so many tools to help you build metrics and profitability in that community. Frederica, can you hear me?
Yeah. Okay. I think this is quite. It depends in which sector are you operating? If you are in marketing, you may find yourself very comfortable within this network of connections. So the marketing sector is able to make publicity of a matrix, and so reach different areas that even they are not aware of the topic. But if you are in a different sector, like analytical sector, if you are a data scientist, if you are if you are not exactly within the marketing, then involved as a third party within the marketing operations, then that would be challenging. So you need to be aware that your work can be spoiled somehow. And so you need to be assertive and say, when you are researching something, because not always things goes as you thought. So it depends by your the sector you operating in, and the network that surrounds you for reaching the purpose.
Well, thank you for that. So Amarachi, Amarachi, I'm always mixing up your the pronouncement of your name. I hope I called it well this time. So
Yes, you did. I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
of you I
Hello, can you
repeat
repeat
myself.
yourself? Because I couldn't hear you. Yes.
Okay, all right. So I said, when you look towards that future in your role, how can community management, get there? When we are talking about the approaches we need to take to adopt new community, in Italy, in Africa, how can we strengthen community, implement? How can we implement to build the metrics and profitability?
Okay, thank you so very much for that question. There's so many metrics that we can adopt. If we start talking today, we won't live here. But I think I'll narrow it down to basically about 4 or 5 factors here. Well, first things first. What works in Nigeria may not necessarily work in Italy. Okay, these are different sets of, yes, they may be interested in the same topic, but they don't speak the same language. They don't have the same attitude and stuff like that. So it is very important, like I said, that we understand the user. That is number one. Even though we're trying to scale, we're trying to open up new chapters in other places, we have to understand the user. We have to understand how they do things. I remember when I was learning about marketing some time ago. Forgive me, I'm voracious when it comes to learning. I remember there was this story about how Coca-Cola failed woefully in their advertisement strategy in the Middle East. I think it was in Saudi Arabia. So they said, I can't forget that story. They said that, they showed somebody in the desert, and the next thing, just going from left to right, there was this man who was exhausted, dehydrated. You know how the desert is, no water. He was really looking pale, dehydrated. And then the next thing, he saw a cold bottle of okay, no, he was dehydrated and he was just almost passed out, lying down, And then next thing he cited a bottle of Coca-Cola. He was excited. He now drank it. After drinking it, he was like, oh, so much alive and well, and was almost like someone that's back from the dead, reborn, looking wonderful. Very nice concept. But you see, the problem is they came with it. They failed to understand just one thing. They were coming from America and we're using the same system there. And typically, we read from what? Left to right, right? That's not the same with the Arabians. Okay? Remember, when we're writing, we write from left to right. They write from what? Right to left. So the message was the other way for them. So for them, they saw a man who was healthy, vibrant, and then he took Coca-Cola and he passed out. So Coca-Cola is now poison. And they're like, what? We can't take Coca-Cola. This is not good. So you see, the message they were trying to give these people failed woefully, simply because they failed to acknowledge just one simple thing: how these people read and write. So they failed to deliver the right message. In fact, the message came back to bite, backbited, in fact. Okay, if despite their best interests. But if they had just taken, some time to do a user research, they would have found these little things and they would have made that mistake. So why am I saying this? It boils down to number one, understanding the user. When we understand the user, that is number one thing. Then based on the insights that we've gotten from the research that we have done, because research is very important. Okay? Even as a designer, if you don't know how to do your research, you have a problem. Unless you're just going to say, no, I'm just a UI designer. I don't bother myself with the other parts. Because you must know who you're designing for. Okay? Else you just wasted your time. So research is very important. When you are launching a community in a completely different environment, don't always assume that what works for A will work for B. In fact, we don't know. It's better you go with the mind of a child. You research and you learn. It's very important. Then secondly, when you establish that the community, there's always a need for innovation when it's time to grow. People get bored easily. Something as simple as rebranding, changing our logo, improving how we view ourselves, improving the things we do. Look at Apple, for instance. Apple, I love Apple, even though I don't use Apple products. You know why? We are Nigerians. We like freebies, and Apple doesn't give us freebies like that. Go high. So, but I love Apple. You know why? Their brand strategy is very, very wonderful. Okay, their branding is strong. They're always bringing up one new thing, always being innovative, always bringing up one new thing or another. Look how they introduce the wireless AirPods. Everyone are like, what the hell? We don't like it. Blah, 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 blah. If everybody's adopting it. And other people are even copying it. So it's not just enough to understand the user. Don't keep that information, because it's going to be important when you want to innovate, when you want to scale. It tells you how these people react to these kind of things and how well they will adopt. Because two things actually define growth. Number one is adoption and engagement. No, sorry, engagement and adoption. People can engage, but they are not adopting. You can create a group where everybody is there buzzing, but when you bring up ideas, nobody's adopting it. Nobody is signing up. Nobody is paying. Nobody is truly engaged. Have you achieved your purpose? No. If you're actually selling a product and people are just there, you advertise 1, 2, 3. Yeah, we know. No one is buying, and nobody is commenting. Nobody is referring. Nobody is inviting their people to come and see this good thing that you're doing. There's a problem. Either you are not creating the stuff for them, or there is a need that has not been met. Because the people who won't pay you, there are people who may not necessarily pay you, but they'll be happy to bring people who will pay you. That is that. Another thing, like I said, sorry, excuse me, I drank something that's disturbing me. So you have to introduce innovation. You have to introduce your branding as you grow. You also have to introduce partnership. Yes, you can't do it all by yourself. I'll give a good example. I was one of the persons who benefited from the Google Scholarship programs. for Nigerians. Actually, I've gotten that like 3 times. So because of that, I did some programs like data analytics, UX design, IT support, and project management. And I really, really loved those programs. But what stood out to me was not just the learning, because of course, LinkedIn Learning offers most of these courses too. But did you know that Google went as far as, going into partnership with, for instance, for IT support, went into partnership with CompTIA. So when you finish IT support, you can get a discount of about 25% in any of these CompTIA certification courses, like CompTIA A+, CompTIA Network Plus. You understand? So if you want to go ahead and then take that CompTIA certification, which is a world standard, which everybody recognizes as far as tech support is concerned, is number one, whether you like it or not. Okay? So they're already making me feel like, hey, when you're done with our course, you are ready to take this course. And as a bonus, we're also giving you 25% off whatever cost it is, of which even CompTIA is not giving you on their website. Are you looking at that? So as a Nigerian, if I'm trying to save money, even if it's not for anything, I want to get that IT support. It's not just that. There was a time Coursera advertised a particular program from me, I think something in the computer science, I forgot the university. And it made me understand that since I have the IT support certification, I can just present it. And then they're going to award me credits. So I don't have to take certain courses, okay? I can jump certain courses. I don't have to worry about them because those credits are already jumped for. So if it's a course I'm supposed to do maybe 3 years, I'll probably end up doing it for 2 years. Because why? I have IT support. That is the power of partnership. So even if I'm not interested in Google, I'm not interested in what they have to offer, but I'm interested in that particular program. I'm interested in getting that BSc from that particular university in the USA. My brother, my sister, I will go and do IT support to save myself what? Some money and some time. Okay? Save myself some money and some time. So you see the beauty of that. That is the power of partnership. When I did the HNG, that was HNG I7 before they changed to Zurich, I also remember a particular wonderful incident. Please, if I take up too much of your time, let me know. When we were told that we were just, we're given assignments and all. We were told we're going to get, paid depending on how well you guys do, because we're so many there. And it was really, really, competition was stiff. Like I've never seen something so, I've never been involved in anything so competitive in my life, at least back then. There was something that stood out to me, which I really enjoyed. It's the power of partnership that HNG really did. And for me, this man is a serious entrepreneur because I was just seeing gain everywhere, but we weren't spending anything. We weren't spending jack as interns. But I was seeing all the ways he was making money. I'll give you an instance. All of us signed up with Bata by Flutterwave. And for each person that signs up, I don't know, I think he gets 50 naira, 100 naira. And we're over 10,000 persons there. Oh yeah, you do the math. That's what Bata gives him. Like, thank you for getting these interns to sign up. Okay? So if you look at that, 10,000 times 10, 100,000 times 5, okay, he's gotten 500K just on us signing up using his link, right? And we didn't spend a penny. This is the power of partnership. All he had to do was what? Liars with Bata by Flutterwave, and then introduce and say, you're not going to get a penny if you do not sign up. He didn't charge us anything. We didn't pay jack. But based on the power of partnership, he's making something out of it. You okay? There's so many other things that happen there. And guess what? We made us design templates, web templates that suits into the what's it called? This forest teams. What's in the name again? Now, mind you, people were forced to go and upgrade. People were forced to do a whole lot of things because we wanted to be finalists, we wanted to get jobs, we wanted to, do a whole lot of stuff there. We were improving. He was also gaining from our improvement. Okay? I got no beef with him. I have only respect for him. Okay? If you
Yeah.
guys see him in organic,
Thank you,
like I said,
Amarachi.
in fact, I envy him. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is that as you grow, there is a very strong need for you to partner with sister companies, companies that have similar interests, and see how you can leverage off that and improve yourselves without necessarily burdening your users. There's so many ways to gain, there's so many ways to gain without being cutthroat and stuff like that. There's need for innovation, there's need
Right.
for rebranding, and there's need for partnership if you want to grow. Thank you very much.
Thank that was deliberate and intensive. Thank you. I know we venture into social media channels, and also we've also talked about identifying our audience. We also mentioned that we can ask our audience. You talked about user persona audience, what type of content they want to see, what they want in the community, and also how identify your success in whichever role you are. Then in identifying your success, I know you also talked about setting goals also, and also about engaging with the audience, and Amarachi really demystify, the issue of partnership, collaboration. Now, in measuring these results in the community, how do you set metrics? That should be the final question, and it has to do with identifying the metrics that you want to use for your community. So how do you want to do that, Frederick?
Okay, let's talk about health metrics, for example. Will that be fine? Yeah?
Yes, sure.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, for example, yeah. So, how do we collect our metrics? How do we make our metrics? First, we collect data, and we can talk about DALIs, for example, which are the number of years in disabilities. So are the number of years that basically a population lost from unhealthy living. And so we build these DALIs metrics with calculating the number of years lost, for example, which is a second metrics inside the DALI. And this is a very important metrics because you don't think that would be such as important, but it gives you a picture of what is happening in a particular country, and with that number you can compare other countries. So this way, for example, if I just to give you an example, if a large portion of our population collects a higher number of years of life lost, that means that it is a risk for a short life, so a not very wealthy lifestyle, so very healthy lifestyle. And the fact of being able to collect data from each countries and build up matrices like DALIs, number of years lost, and the years lived with disabilities, lets us to calibrate those differences, so discrepancies within countries. And so often, can you just tell me what do you think is the best way for let's say make the people understanding the importance of these metrics? Can you hear me? No,
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because you asked me, yeah. How can I, for example, if I want to like be able to make a metrics of this kind in a particular country of Africa, for example, which I haven't got any data, and that would be very important for the country in itself to collect the data for making these metrics, so we can compare the status of this sub-country of Africa to another one. How would you do that? This is my question for you. I think this is a challenging thing because somehow
Okay.
you
Yeah.
cannot, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hearing you. Finish up.
Okay, no, because sometimes the sound goes, yeah, I hear you. I'm just saying sometimes it's difficult because there is no possibilities to collect the data materially. So it will take long time for the country to be able to set up a system that will collect necessary data. So my question is, do you how would you do that, basically?
Okay. So to answer your question, if you can hear me, like metrics, metrics are actually based on the and you can use the like in my community can measure metrics by visitors month, the kind of engagement, the kind of post per month on on the social media. I go there every time, check with the social media executive what she is doing, and also see on Instagram. If you're using Instagram, you can rate of audience reach and also the message origination channel. You can create its message origination Slack. In CMX now we use Slack a lot. I know anytime you can set up a notification to actually get your message each time it comes up. So those are type of metrics. You can also do text mining, you can do churn rate, all those kind of things. You can also do scorecards if you're working with team, and paid team, you can do check if of the goals they set, your goals and objectives set for that week or that month, and also you can check the number of feedback that you get from your members. I hope that helps. Actually, am I checking here? So Federica, what will you be saying to to your member, or what's your parting word in conclusion?
Okay, to conclude, I would say that we are glad to have all this net of connections, and even thankfully to this pandemic, as you said, we have been able to get even more connected than before somehow, and expand our knowledge through learning updates. I think that we can even be able to find new metrics to use for translating the world phenomenon that may appear in the future.
Right. Thank you, Frederica. And don't forget, we will connect again on LinkedIn. I think we've already connected. To Amarachi, thank you for being on this call. So we are talking about metrics, how will you engage your community on metrics? How do you measure it? And what metric do you use? And after that, you just, give us a conclusion. What do you want to say to CMX and the community? And you can also share your link, ID with us so that we can connect. I know we've already connected anyway.
Okay, thank you. Speaking of data and speaking of metrics in general, so to me, when you talk about metrics, since we're looking at the online platform, basically, I think one of the first things that stands out is the content metrics. Okay, how well did our the content we put out there, how well is it doing? And first of all, how we know how well it's doing is, first of all, okay, before I go there, I think it's important that we already establish, what success looks to us. What is success? Because if we don't know what is success, then we don't know what we're measuring, and we don't know what we are. Because the real reason we're measuring is to compare against what we want, so we can compare what we have against what we want to achieve. And what we want to achieve is what success looks like. Forgive me, when I did my Google Project Management certification, they showed us how to define success criteria, how to prepare your project charter and your overall project plan, be it the schedule, the budgeting, and stuff like that, and even the quality management. And one of the most important things is that if you don't know what success looks like, if you cannot define success, then how do you know how well you're doing? How do you know where you are? It's like a map. Someone's saying, hey, I want to get to X location, and you don't know where you are. You don't even know what X location looks like. How do you know when you're close? How do you even know when you get there? So it's important that we know what the matrix is and what success looks like. Then based on what success looks like, we can define the matrix that we are looking for. We may not necessarily achieve that at this point in time, but then it gives us a glimpse of what we are headed for. That way we would know when to re-strategize and when to go about that. Now, let's move down to metrics. What kind of metrics are we looking at? The first thing is your content. How well did your content reach your users or your expected audience? I like the LinkedIn. You know how LinkedIn is? When you make the LinkedIn post and you come back, it tells you how many people viewed your content, even if there is no comment and no engagement. You can see 1,000 views. Perhaps there's a like or no. Another thing is, apart from the reach, the second thing is the engagement. Are they liking the reactions? When I say engagement, I'm talking about reactions. Okay? What kind of reactions are we expecting? Do we expect to have at least 1,000 likes within X period of time? And mind you, even when you're looking at engagement, even when you're looking at metrics, there should be a smart goal here that we can measure. Are we looking at 1,000 likes? Are we looking at 1,000 comments? Okay, these are metrics that, because like you said, metrics, it must be measurable and it must be time bound. Okay, so we should know what we are gunning for. And then these metrics, we're looking at the reach, we're looking at the reactions, we're also looking at the adoption and bringing out adoption too. Because, for instance, let's say you posted something about a particular product and you're trying to get people to buy. People are viewing, but they're not commenting, talk more of even clicking on the link to see what you're talking about. You can see that the metrics there, in terms of reach, yeah, that's good. But nobody is doing anything about that. What does that tell you? That tells you that they are not really interested in that content that you just put out. So it's one thing to see, it's another thing to react, and it's another thing to what? Adopt. So we have to look at that. These are metrics that are very important for our content. And for whatever message that we're trying to deliver, we're looking at the reach, we're looking at the engagement, and we're looking at the adoption. If you're looking at people sign up for this, then we should have But then the matrix tells us, okay, maybe 1,000 persons saw this. Maybe at the end of the day, maybe just about 50 or 60 persons actually signed up. So people who went as far as, reacting to that. Not just reacting, but also, adopting that. Maybe out of that 1,000 people who did that, 50 persons, maybe more, maybe 150 persons actually reacted and said something. There is an engagement. People are talking. People are interested. Okay, so that is also a good metric. That's because if people are talking, then you can get them to say what they like or dislike or what they think can be done better. So that's another matrix that we will look at, that we should look at. Okay, another thing that we should also look at is feedback collection. For instance, when we do this kind of meetings, let's say 50 persons showed up. Well, what's their feedback? Did they enjoy it? Did they think that this was like this, or did they think I spent too much time talking? Did they think that we could do it shorter, or we could start earlier, or we could improve on XYZ angle? Okay, so that's another matrix that we should measure. That is also points to how successful we are. People's feedback. How are they reacting to what has happened, to maybe a program or to maybe a session? Okay, feedback collection is very important, especially if you want to scale your community. It's not enough to just get people to react when you post something. It's also good for people to give you feedbacks after they have, been involved in a particular program. It's very important to have them engage, because that way, if there's something you're not doing right, or something that they would have preferred to see, or perhaps the information given is not exactly what was delivered in the program. That's also another important thing. Another thing that we have to do, with our matrix, is not just to have people say, oh, 1,000 people did this, 2,000 people did that, blah, 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 blah. We have to collate this data, okay? Why? Because we have to create a report. Why do we create a report? Because when we collate the data, we can now look for insights. Based on this data, X number of persons had difficulty doing this, hence their inability to do this. We group them into teams, and we see which teams, stand out. Maybe 70% of persons complaining had this particular problem. Okay, based on our matrix, we know that this is the elephant in the room. Is this particular thing? Perhaps the sign up button wasn't working, and that's why some people were not, or it was rerouting to some other, website. What does that tell us? It means we have to work on whoever did that. If it's an API problem, whatever it is, we have to work on that, because that is the elephant in the room. But you're not going to know that unless you start asking people for feedback, start asking people what's the problem. Then they can tell you. And when they now tell you, you can now collect this information and report it, because if you just collect the information, 70% of people said this, blah, 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 blah. Some people, especially the stakeholders, are not going to be interested in that information. They want a report that tells them, this is the pain point, this is the problem, these are the recommendations for success. So it's not enough to just measure metrics. It's also important for us to be able to convert, to get insight from those metrics so that we can apply them and be better and be stronger, so that our brand and our community will be so much better. You want me to continue talking? I can talk, but
thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Amarachi, for being on this call. Thank you. And know that this call is recorded. Thank you, Federica, for your time, for coming on this call. And I hope we'll do better. We'll also come for a new in future. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn or Fonime Brown. I know I think I've already connected with Amarachi and Federica and Eyitayo. Eyitayo, thank you for being an host, and CMX Connect, thank you for giving us a platform to use and also connect and also build community. And I know that by next meeting will be better and flourish more than this. So thank you, everyone. And Eyitayo, do you have anything to say?
Thank you very much for inviting me. It's a pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Tayo. All right. So bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it. You have a nice day. Bye.